Assalamu alaikum. In this lab 4, working with EBS, I'm trying to use the command prompt or CLI instead of using Putty, which is blocked in HCT. So I'm doing the same steps here, task 1 to 6, which is found on the same page of the lab. But instead of using the AWS combined with the lab, I'm going to use the other one in another course. Okay, let me explain what I'm going to do. First of all, I go to, I'm going to log in with student account. So log in using a student account. And then here I have two courses, the Cloud Foundation and the Learner Lab. Actually, I'm going to read the lab from here and execute it here because the Learner Lab has more resources available. But the Cloud Foundation, in the Cloud Foundation, you have to use Putty. That's why I'm skipping using Putty in Cloud Foundation. So I will go here and open the lab module number 7. I'm going to open only the lab for reading the instructions. Here, I just read the instructions. Okay, so that's important because I want to follow the instructions. So I open lab for working with EBS from here. So I can read exactly what I'm going to do. But now I'm going to not to execute the lab here, but I'm going to not here actually, but I'm going to execute the lab in the learner lab. So I'm opening the learner lab modules. Then from the learner lab foundational services, here we go. I'm going to start lab from here. I'm waiting for the lab to start, and until it starts, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Look, lab for working with EBS, so I'm going to follow the same instructions here. I collected all the steps in here. All the steps is found here. So I'm going to use this learner lab for the entire of the lab. So AWS. I'm going to AWS, but there's an extra step here because start is with create a new EBS volume, but I'm going to create an instance first. So I'll go to either EC2 and create a new instance, go to instances and launch an instance, and then call this instance EBS instance machine, EBS machine. Then going down and selecting the defaults until I go here. This is the first, the most important step here. You have to select VOC key. VOC key will make it easy for us to launch the, to connect to the instance or the machine using the Learner Lab command prompt. And instead of using Putty and SSH. So this is the most important step here. So you go select it and then don't change anything here. You can only edit and change the name of the uh, the name of the security group to EBS, and then also here just write something to know it, and then remove this from here and go down and then launch an instance. This is not going to take any time. It doesn't take any time, but still we can we need an extra step here. We wait until it's running, but in the meantime we can go to the security groups and go to the EBS security group, which I have just created. Click on it. I just want to allow SSH and HTTP, HTTPS in the inbound rules. So I edit in because I want to connect to the machine from this CLI. That's why it is very important to allow this traffic. So edit inbound rules and go to add rule and create SSH. The first thing is SSH from IPv4 anywhere. Add another rule for HTTP HTTP, this one, yeah, HTTP, and then also from anywhere IPv4, and then also add another rule for HTTPS and from IPv4 anywhere, and save rules. Now I can connect directly to the machine. If I go to the instances, I just want to make sure that it's running, and then select the machine, go to the details, copy the IP address, and then go to the learner lab and write the command. The command is not found here directly. If you don't keep the command in your mind, so you need to go to access to EC2 instances. You just click on it, then you will find the command here. So you can copy the command from here and then copy it and then paste it. In the memory, I removed the IP address, so I have to go back and copy it again. So I go to the EC2, copy the public IP address, and then paste it here, and then run. This is going to ask me about the ECDASA key fingerprint is going to be added. So I just yes, and I am in. Now I'm in. I successfully logged into the machine. I didn't start yet. So all of these tasks are not started yet. I only did one step before creating a new EBS volume. I created a virtual machine. And this virtual machine is currently running, and I make sure that I can connect to it. Even in the college, in HCT, I can connect to the machine even in the college. By the way, Putty is blocked in HCT. That's why I'm doing this. So go now and create a new EBS volume. So you go to the volumes and create a volume. Then go to the volume size, make it 1. Make sure of the availability zone. So if you want to make copies on the same availability zone to make it faster, so make sure that you select the same availability zone every time. And then go to the tag and add the tag is name, and the value is my EBS volume. And then create the volume. So you have the volume is not currently here, but if you refresh, it's 1 giga. This is not here, not here, by the way, still is not here. If you go to instances, if you go again to volumes, yeah, it's hidden here, happens. So it's hidden here, my EBS volume. This is the volume that I have just created. This one is currently created. The volume is cannot be found in a space like this, hanging in a space. It should be attached to a machine. So I select it, then from actions, attach volume. It's going to tell me which instance I select my web browser. By the way, I'm sure it's not my web browser, so it's another one because I have created this EBS machine is running, but still having a problem because of the checks. Now I can go to volumes again and select my EBS volume and select actions and attach volume and select from here. It always show my web browser, which is not the correct one that I want to select. Maybe US East 1A, and I want to select is not correct. Now is not correct. Is not correct. So what is the problem? Actually, I go to instances, and for my web browser, I terminate instance and terminate it. I don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore, so it's going to confuse me. Okay. And again, going to the volumes, select my EBS volume, select actions, attach volume, instances, no instances found, instances, no instances found. So what is the problem? So the problem is, I found the problem, which is the US East 1D, the availability zone of the machine and the volume are not the same. Is not the same. Availability zone of the virtual machine and for the volume, they are not the same availability zone. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to volumes and check this created EBS volume and remove it because it is not in the same availability zone actually, because this is found on A and the snapshot or the machine or the virtual machine is found on D. That's why they are not going to work together. So I have to remove it from actions, delete volume, delete it, and then go back and create a new volume. And this time 1 gigabit, and make sure the general purpose SSD is selected and go here and select 1D, US East 1D, the same availability zone of the virtual machine. So add tag and then name, and this is my EBS volume, my EBS volume. Okay, and here we create a volume and refresh until it is okay, it's ready. So select it and then actions and attach volume. And this time you will find EBS machine here because we are working the same availability zone. And it's good to have such problems because it makes you understand what's going on. So we have the availability zone 1D, so everything is working nice. So attach volume. Now the volume, which is I created already 1 giga, is attached to the instance. So if I go to instances and select my instance here, and then go to the storage, I should see two volumes. The first one is the root volume, which is 8 gigabit, and the the volume that I have created, which is the EBS volume and 1 gig. Its size is 1 gig. So now I'm ready. I'm ready for the second. I created a new EBS volume and finally mounted it or attached it to EBS. And now attach the volume to an instance. I have done this also. That's good. Connect to your Amazon EC2 instance. So I connect to Amazon EC2 instance. I already connected. I have done this also already. I already connected to Amazon EC2 instance and create and configure your file system. This is the most important thing. I create and configure the file system. This is the most important step. We go to the Amazon Web Services, make sure that the instances here, if you go to the instance and the running instance has a volume, EBS volume with 1 gig, and its location should be on dev SDF. So if I go there, I go to Linux and say df-h. It will display everything, including the root volume, which is 8 gigabit. But it doesn't display the 1 giga. Why? Because it is not mounted. So we have to create a partition and format this partition, and then it's already mounted on a partition, but I want to first format this partition and then mount it to the volume. So the first step is to format this partition. So I do sudo mkfs -t extension 3 for dev SDF. Make sure of the SDF, yes, and enter. So it will say it's formatted, everything's done. Okay, so it's formatted. Now I create a folder to mount this partition to it. So sudo mkdir folder with the name data store, and put it on the root mnt and data store. I created the directory. Then now I can mount the partition. I can mount the dev SDF to the mnt data store. Now, if I go and write df-h to display all the partitions, I will find the partition that I have created with 1 giga, which is found here. This one, the last one, is mounted on the data store. So now, now I know that I can mount the partition and make it work. And now I can use it. I can actually use it and save files on it. Let's try to make a file and save it on the mounted partition. So I go to the mounted partition, or the partition, sorry, to the folder that the partition is mounted to, and data store, and this ls, nothing found. And here we can create a file. I create a file by using sudo sh-c echo some text is added here, and I move it to the mnt data store, and the data store slash a file.txt. ls, you will find file.txt. And if you cat this file.txt, you will find the text that is added to it. We have added some text into that text file. So now I created a partition using Amazon AWS with 1 giga size, and then formatted it and mounted it so I can use it. I already used it to store a file and displayed that file and made sure that it's working and it's running without any problem. The partition is running without any problem. Now I go to the next step, which is create Amazon EBS snapshot. I finished this part, but before moving to the next to the snapshot, the idea is to create Amazon EBS snapshot. The idea behind this is to make a backup for your data. So the Amazon EBS snapshot is for having a backup for your data. So we go to the instances from the left-hand side. You'll find snapshots. You can not have snapshots. Actually, we create a snapshot. And actually, it's better to go to go back and go to the volumes. It's better to go to the volume and select my EBS volume, and from the action, you create a snapshot. It's better to do directly like this, and go down and add tag name my EBS snapshot, and then create a snapshot. A snapshot is created for this EBS volume, and now I go and, for example, by accident, I deleted this file. For example, I deleted remove sudo rm file.txt. Sorry, I miswritten sudo, by the way. Sudo rm file.txt and ls to make sure it is not there. So I removed it by accident because I have taken a snapshot before. So I know that the file is found on the snapshot. So what I'm going to do now is to create a new volume, but this time I create a volume from a snapshot. So I create volume. This time the volume is 1 giga, but the volume is from a snapshot. You go to the snapshots and select the snapshot that you have created. Or it's better to go to snapshots. It's like you can do it by many ways. So you go to the snapshots and select the snapshot you have created. And from the menu, select create volume from a snapshot. This is very straightforward. And if you create a volume from a snapshot, by default, it will be the same size of the snapshot. And by the way, the availability zone, you have to select 1D because everything is on 1D. So you create in the same place and add a tag, and the tag is name and my restored EBS volume. Okay, and then create the volume. I created the volume. Go down. These are the snapshots. So I go to volumes and I found the volume that I have created, my restored, this one. Next step is to attach it to an instance. So I go to attach the volume to an instance. By the way, you remember, because we selected 1D, now we can see the EBS machine running. So I select it and make sure that you can see this. If you can see SDG. So You remember this because we will go there and mount the SDG partition to a new folder. So attach volume. Now my volume is attached to the machine. So if I go to instances, I select the machine again and make refresh and select it again and go to the storage. You'll find three this time. One SDF, one SDG, which is the restored one. Now I want to make sure that the created volume contains the file that I have deleted. So I go to the Learner Lab Foundation and the command prompt. From there, I go and create a new folder. Sorry, is not going to understand me. mkdir. Sorry, also I have to make sudo mkdir mnt and data store. Make it 1 this time. And mount, directly mount. There is no need to format because the snapshot is taken from a formatted volume, so it will be formatted. There is no need to format again. Amount what? Sorry, also sudo. Everything is sudo because it should be with the root. Mount dev SDF, not SDF. I forgot. So I return it back. No problem. SDG to the MNT and then the data store 1 df dash h. This time you will find the data store 1 is mounted successfully. Now I go to cd and mnt data store 1 to make sure that the file is there, and ls. So I found the file is there. Make sure that the file contains the same text .txt and I have the same text. Now I finished the second step, which is creating an Amazon EBS snapshot, and I restored the Amazon EBS snapshot and I can find the file, and I made sure that the file is working, and I found the file and displayed its content. I think this way is better to work with this lab instead of having Putty, and Putty is not working in HCT. And thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the lab. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.